The emergency call came through at 300 hours, which meant Nathan Cole was already awake. Insomnia was a chronic condition when you worked as a frontier station engineer. He accepted the comm before the second chime. "Cole here." "Nathan, it's Hansen. We've got a situation. Velrani vessel just limped into dock with critical damage. They're requesting emergency repair services, and you're the only engineer on station qualified for alien systems." Nathan was already pulling on his work clothes. Damage assessment, power core instability, navigation failures, structural compromises. The ship should barely be functional. They need full repair, and they need it fast. Hansen paused. "This is beyond our facilities, Nathan. This is shipyard-level work." "Then why are they here instead of a shipyard?" "Because the nearest shipyard is 3 weeks away and their power core won't last 3 days. We're their only option." "Understood. Send me the diagnostic data they've provided. I'll be at the docking bay in 20 minutes. Nathan arrived to find a Velrani warship that looked like it had fought its way through hell. Scorch marks covered the hull, entire sections showed structural damage, and the power fluctuations were visible even from outside, lights flickering, systems cycling erratically. The Velrani crew looked as battered as their ship. A dozen warriors in damaged armor, their distinctive long ears pressed flat with exhaustion and stress. When Nathan approached, their leader, a tall officer in formal armor that somehow remained pristine despite the circumstances, stepped forward. "You are the station engineer." Her voice carried skepticism. "Nathan Cole, I'm here to fix your ship." He pulled up his portable diagnostic scanner. "I'll need full access to your systems, damage reports from your engineers, and cooperation from your crew." "How long until your power core fails completely?" 36 hours, perhaps less. "Then we don't have time for extended introductions. Give me access and let me work." The officer, Nathan would learn later she was the ship's commanding officer, though he didn't yet know her name or rank, studied him for a long moment. Then she nodded. "You will have full access. My crew will cooperate. But understand, this ship contains sensitive technology. If you damage anything or compromise our security—" "I'm an engineer, not a spy. I'm here to fix your ship, not steal your secrets." "Now can we move past the threats and start the actual work?" Most people didn't interrupt a Velrani officer mid-speech. The crew tensed, waiting for their commander's response. Instead, she made a sound that might have been amusement. "Direct, I appreciate that. Proceed, Engineer Cole." Nathan spent the first 6 hours doing nothing but diagnostics, mapping the damage, understanding the systems, identifying priorities. The Velrani crew watched with obvious skepticism. Human engineer working on advanced Velrani technology. They'd probably already written off the ship. But Nathan had spent 15 years studying alien engineering. He'd repaired Centauri fusion drives, rebuilt Andromeda navigation arrays, and completely redesigned a chiral environmental system. Velrani technology was sophisticated, but all engineering followed fundamental principles. You just had to understand them deeply enough. "Your power core stabilizer is cracked," he announced to the assembled crew. "That's causing the fluctuations. Your navigation system isn't actually damaged, it's just not receiving clean power. And your structural integrity in sections 4 through 7 is compromised because someone routed too much power through support struts during combat. Am I close?" The Velrani engineer who'd provided the damage report stared. "How did you? We spent 2 days diagnosing those problems." "Because I'm good at my job. Now, here's the priority list. Stabilize the power core first. Everything else is useless if we lose power completely. Navigation second, because you can't leave if you can't steer. Structural repairs third, because they take time and we need you mobile before we need you pretty." Questions? Silence. Then the commanding officer spoke. "No questions. You have your priorities. What do you need from us?" "Access, cooperation, and people to stay out of my way when I'm working on something critical. I'll explain what I'm doing when asked, but I won't stop working to hold hands. Understood. Understood. Proceed. Nathan worked through the night and into the next day, completely absorbed in the challenge. The power core stabilizer couldn't be replaced. They didn't have compatible parts. So he designed a bypass using human standard components that shouldn't work with Velrani technology, but did because he understood the underlying energy flow principles. That shouldn't be possible, the Velrani engineer said, watching Nathan integrate human plasma regulators into Velrani power systems. It's possible if you understand that both systems are just moving energy from point A to point B. The mechanisms differ, but the principles are identical. Physics doesn't care about species politics. By hour 30, with 6 hours remaining before projected core failure, Nathan had stabilized the power core. The lights stopped flickering. Systems came back online smoothly. The crew's skepticism transformed into something like awe. The commanding officer approached while Nathan was working on navigation recalibration. He'd seen her at a distance several times, always in full formal armor, face hidden behind her helmet, voice filtered through communication systems. Professional, authoritative, obviously in command. "Your progress exceeds expectations," she said. "I told you I'm good at my job." Nathan didn't look up from his work. Navigation should be online within 4 hours. Then I'll start the structural repairs, which will take about 3 days if nothing goes wrong. You'll be mobile and stable by the end of the week. You work with impressive focus. Ship repair requires focus. Cutting corners gets people killed. He finally looked up at her. "Can I help you with something, Commander? I assume that's your rank given how the crew responds to you." "Just observing. Carry on." After she left, the Velrani engineer asked quietly, "Do you know who that is?" "Your commanding officer." "Why?" The engineer looked like he wanted to say something, then thought better of it. "Nothing. You should continue your work." Nathan shrugged and returned to the navigation systems, unaware that he'd been casually treating Queen Lyra with the same professional courtesy he'd show any client, and unaware that she was impressed. Over the following days, Nathan established a routine: work until exhaustion, sleep 4 hours, repeat. The Velrani crew learned to anticipate his methods. He explained his reasoning when asked, accepted input when relevant, but mostly existed in a state of complete focus on the work. What impressed them wasn't just his skill, though that was considerable, but his attitude. Most humans approached Velrani technology with either intimidation or arrogance. Nathan approached it with respect and curiosity. He'd study a system for hours, ask thoughtful questions about design philosophy, implement solutions that honored the original engineering while solving the immediate problem. "Your people build beautiful ships," he told the Velrani engineer one afternoon while redesigning a damaged power relay. "This energy distribution system is elegant, very efficient." The designer understood harmonic resonance at a deep level. "You appreciate Velrani engineering." "I appreciate good engineering regardless of species. This is good work. It's a privilege to fix it properly." The commanding officer continued her observation pattern. She'd appear periodically, watch Nathan work for a few minutes, ask occasional questions, then leave. Nathan treated these visits with professional courtesy. He'd explain what he was doing if asked, but he never stopped working to impress her or curry favor. "You show no fear," she observed one evening while Nathan was elbow-deep in a plasma conduit that most people would refuse to touch while powered. "Fear would make my hands shake. Shaking hands cause mistakes. Mistakes with plasma conduits cause explosions." Nathan carefully adjusted a connection. "I respect the danger, but fear isn't useful. Most humans are intimidated by Velrani warriors. You're not warriors right now. You're a crew with a damaged ship that needs help. Species doesn't change that." He finished the connection and backed out of the conduit. "There, plasma flow is stable now. You can route auxiliary power through this system without risking cascade failure. You treat us like equals." "You are equals." Actually, you're probably superior in combat capability, political influence, and about a dozen other measures. But in my workspace, fixing your ship, we're colleagues. I have expertise you need, you have information I require to do my job. Seems pretty equal to me. The commanding officer made that sound that might be amusement again. You're unusual, Nathan Cole. So I've been told. He moved to the next repair site. If unusual means I focus on work instead of politics, I'll take it as a compliment. The critical moment came during the power core redesign. Nathan had discovered a fundamental flaw in the original system, a design vulnerability that had contributed to the combat damage. He called a meeting with the commanding officer to discuss options. I can patch this, he explained, showing her the diagnostic data. Reinforce the damaged sections, restore original functionality. It'll take 2 days and the ship will be as good as it was before the damage. That sounds acceptable. Or, Nathan continued, I can redesign this section of the core, fix the underlying vulnerability so this doesn't happen again. It'll take 5 days instead of 2, it's beyond my contracted work, and there's risk. If I fail, the core could be worse than it is now. But if I succeed, your ship will be more stable and safer than it was originally. The commanding officer tilted her helmet, studying him. Nathan thought, you recommend the more difficult path. I recommend the correct path. Professionally, the redesign is right. It fixes the root cause instead of just the symptom. But it's your ship and your decision. If you fail, your reputation suffers. Yes, which is why I wouldn't recommend it if I wasn't confident I could succeed. But I'm being honest, there's risk. I don't hide risk to make my life easier. Why not simply do the quick repair and avoid the additional work? Because I'm an engineer. I fix things properly or I don't sleep well at night. Nathan met her hidden gaze steadily. Your ship deserves the right fix, not the easy fix. That's my professional opinion, but again, your decision. Silence stretched between them. Then, proceed with the redesign. You have 5 days. Nathan worked those 5 days like a man possessed. The redesign was complex. He had to maintain core functionality while completely rebuilding several critical subsystems. The Velrani engineer helped when asked, but mostly stayed out of the way, recognizing that Nathan was in that state of deep focus where interruption would be unwelcome. The commanding officer watched frequently. She'd arrive silently, observe for long periods, never interrupting but always present. Nathan barely noticed. He was too absorbed in the work. On the 4th day, disaster struck. A component that should have been stable failed during testing, threatening to cascade into complete core shutdown. Nathan had maybe 10 minutes to solve a problem that should require days of analysis. He solved it in 8 minutes, using parts that shouldn't work together. Human standard plasma regulators, Velrani energy dampeners, and a Centauri stabilizer he'd pulled from his personal toolkit. He created a hybrid system that stabilized the failing component and actually improved overall efficiency. That's impossible, the Velrani engineer breathed, watching the readings stabilize. Those systems aren't compatible. They are if you understand the fundamental principles deeply enough. Nathan was shaking slightly from adrenaline now that the crisis had passed. Compatibility is just matching inputs and outputs. The mechanisms don't matter if the energy flow works. The commanding officer had watched the entire crisis response without saying a word. Now she spoke. You created a solution that didn't exist, improvised under pressure without panic, succeeded when failure would have been catastrophic. I did my job, Nathan said simply. That's what you're paying me for. No, you did significantly more than your job. You demonstrated exceptional competence, integrity, and courage. She paused. You are remarkable, Nathan Cole. I'm just an engineer doing what engineers do, solving problems with whatever's available. Most engineers don't succeed at the impossible. You do, regularly it seems. Nathan shrugged, uncomfortable with praise. The impossible is just the difficult with tight deadlines. Now if you'll excuse me, I need to run final diagnostics to make sure that improvised solution is actually stable long-term. He returned to work, missing the way the commanding officer watched him with something that wasn't just professional appreciation. By the end of the fifth day, the power core redesign was complete. The ship wasn't just repaired, it was improved. More stable, more efficient, safer than original specifications. Your ship is better than new, Nathan announced to the assembled crew. The vulnerability that caused your combat damage is eliminated. Power efficiency is up 7%. Core stability exceeds Velrani military standards by a significant margin. He showed them the data. You're cleared for departure whenever you're ready. The crew looked at their commanding officer, who nodded. Excellent work, Engineer Cole. Prepare your final report and invoice. We will compensate you appropriately. Already done. I'll transmit everything tonight. Nathan started packing his tools. It's been a privilege working on your ship. Take care of her. She's beautiful. Wait. The commanding officer's voice carried new weight. Attend me in my quarters. We have matters to discuss. Nathan shrugged. Probably wanted to discuss the technical details of the repairs or negotiate final payment. He followed her through the ship to the commander's private quarters, noting the way the crew watched him with what seemed like awe or perhaps pity. He didn't understand why until the commanding officer closed the door and removed her helmet. Nathan had never seen a Velrani Queen before, but the moment Lyra removed her helmet, something in the formal markings on her face and the elaborate ear decorations made her status unmistakable. She was royalty, and not just any royalty. Oh, Nathan said, his brain scrambling to recalculate his entire understanding of the past week. You're not just the commanding officer. I am Queen Lyra, sovereign of the Velrani Empire. She studied his reaction with interest. You didn't know. I was told you were the commanding officer. I assumed that meant captain or maybe admiral. Not, he gestured helplessly. Your Majesty. I apologize if I was inappropriately casual. I didn't know I was fixing the Queen's personal vessel. Your lack of knowledge was precisely what made your behavior valuable. Lyra set her helmet aside. You treated me as a captain whose ship needed repair. You treated my crew with respect regardless of their rank. You focused on the work itself rather than performing for status or currying favor. Do you understand how rare that is? I just did my job. No, you did significantly more than your job. You recommended a more difficult repair path because it was correct. You worked without cutting corners despite exhaustion. You showed genuine respect for our engineering and our ship. You improvised solutions that shouldn't exist. You demonstrated exceptional competence combined with exceptional integrity. She moved closer. I've spent this week observing you, Nathan Cole, watching how you work, how you treat people, how you handle pressure. I've reached a conclusion. What conclusion? That you possess qualities I value and rarely find. Genuine skill without arrogance, confidence without dismissiveness, intelligence that recognizes its own limitations, integrity that refuses shortcuts even when difficult, respect for others regardless of their status or species. She paused. I'm proposing marriage. Marry me, human. Nathan's brain completely stalled. He stared at her, waiting for the punchline, for any indication she was joking. Her expression remained completely serious. I'm sorry, what? I'm proposing marriage. Bond your life to mine, become my consort, stand beside me as partner. You're serious, completely serious. We barely know each other. I fixed your ship. That's a professional service, not a marriage proposal trigger. In Velrani culture, a monarch can propose marriage to anyone who demonstrates exceptional value to the realm. Your repairs saved my ship, and potentially my life, as the power core would have failed completely within hours. Your integrity, your skill, your respectful treatment of my people, all demonstrated exceptional character and value. So you're proposing because I did good work. I'm proposing because in a week of close observation, you've shown me qualities I've been searching for in a potential partner for years. I'm not making this decision lightly or impulsively. I've watched you carefully, I'm certain. Nathan sat down because his legs weren't reliably supporting him anymore. This is insane. Perhaps, but I've ruled my people for 15 years through what many consider insane decisions that proved correct. I trust my judgment. Lyra sat across from him. I'm attracted to your intelligence. I'm impressed by your competence. I respect your integrity. And I appreciate that you showed no fear when dealing with me or my people. You treated us as equals deserving respect, not as threats to be managed or superiors to be kowtowed to. I'm an engineer, you're a queen. The cultural implications alone are significant, yes. You'd become Velrani consort, gain political status you never wanted, face scrutiny from both our species. Navigate court politics you're completely unprepared for. She smiled slightly. But you'd also be partnered with someone who values the same things you do: competence, integrity, honest work well done. Someone who appreciates your skills and your character. Someone who won't waste your time with political games or empty flattery. This is overwhelming. I imagine it is. Take time to process. Ask questions. Consider carefully. Lyra leaned back. But understand, I'm serious. I've made my decision, I'm asking you to make yours. Nathan's mind raced through implications. Marriage to a Velrani Queen. Leaving his station engineering post. Political scrutiny. Cultural complications. Living in an alien empire with protocols he didn't understand. But also, partnership with someone brilliant and fierce. Someone who valued competence and integrity. Someone who'd watched him work for a week and decided his character was worth building a life around. Can I ask you something? He said finally. Of course. Why me, specifically? You must have potential consorts among your own people, nobles, warriors, diplomats who understand Velrani culture and politics. Why choose a human engineer? Because those potential consorts understand Velrani politics too well. They see marriage to me as political opportunity, status elevation, power acquisition. They perform for me, calculate what I want to see, present carefully constructed personas. Her expression turned serious. You didn't perform. You just worked. You showed me genuine character because you didn't know I was watching for it. That authenticity, it's invaluable. I'm not good at politics. I don't know how to be a consort. You're exceptionally good at treating people with respect and focusing on what matters. Those skills translate. The rest I can teach you. She studied him. Nathan, I'm not demanding immediate marriage. I'm proposing courtship that leads to marriage if we're compatible. Get to know me as a person rather than a queen. Let me know you beyond your professional excellence. If it doesn't work, we part as friends. But I think it will work. You're very confident. I'm a queen. Confidence is part of the job description. Her smile was genuine. But I'm also honest. I'm attracted to you, not just professionally impressed, personally interested. Your focus when you work is magnetic. Your calm under pressure is attractive. Your integrity is compelling. I want to explore whether what I feel could become something deeper. Nathan took a breath. This was insane. But he was also attracted to her. Her intelligence, her decisiveness, the way she'd watched him work with genuine interest rather than just oversight. She was brilliant and fierce and genuine in ways that were rare regardless of species. Courtship first, he said. Get to know each other as people. See if this is actually compatible before we commit to anything permanent. Agreed, a reasonable approach. And you understand I'm going to be terrible at court politics and probably make diplomatic mistakes. I assume nothing less. But I didn't choose you for political skill. I chose you for character, which you possess abundantly. Nathan laughed despite himself. This is the weirdest week of my life. I came to fix a ship. Now I'm being courted by a queen. If your life wasn't weird, you wouldn't be interesting. Lyra stood. So, do you accept courtship with the understanding that I'm pursuing marriage as the end goal? I accept courtship with the understanding that we're both going to learn a lot about each other, and either this works or it doesn't. No guarantees. Fair enough. She extended her hand, a human gesture Nathan noticed. Partners. He took her hand. Partners. Though I reserve the right to say I told you so when I inevitably embarrass you at some political function. And I reserve the right to defend your honor when nobles question why I've chosen a human engineer as my intended consort. You're intended, you're really serious about this. Completely serious. Her expression softened. Nathan, you fixed my ship with integrity and skill when you thought I was just a captain. You showed me genuine character. That's worth more than any political alliance or strategic marriage could offer. I won't waste that by treating this casually. The news that Queen Lyra had chosen a human engineer as her potential consort created predictable chaos in both Velrani and human political circles. Nathan spent his first week aboard Lyra's ship. Now functioning perfectly, he noted with satisfaction, being interrogated by diplomats, assessed by nobles, and generally treated like a curiosity that might be dangerous. They're trying to determine if I'm a spy or just an idiot, he told Lyra during one of their evening conversations. They're trying to understand how a human engineer caught the attention of someone they've been attempting to match with appropriate nobles for years. Lyra smiled. You're disrupting carefully laid political plans. They're uncomfortable. Should I be worried about assassination attempts? No. Anyone who tries to harm you will face my immediate and severe displeasure. That's been made abundantly clear. Being defended by a warrior queen, not how I expected my life to go. They spent hours together daily, sometimes discussing engineering. Lyra had significant technical knowledge that impressed Nathan, sometimes navigating court politics, which Nathan found tedious but managed with Lyra's patient guidance, and increasingly just talking. About their lives, their goals, their values. Why did you become an engineer? Lyra asked one evening. Because things make sense. People are complicated and unpredictable. Machines follow rules. If you understand the rules, you can fix anything. Nathan paused. And I like helping. Fixing a ship means the crew stays safe. Fixing a station system means people have clean air or water or power. It's direct cause and effect. Good work equals good outcome. You value competence and results. I value things that work properly and people who do their jobs well. Everything else is just noise. That's what I value too. Results over performance. Substance over presentation. Lyra met his eyes. We're compatible in fundamental ways, Nathan. I wasn't wrong about that. The cultural complications were real. Nathan had to learn Velrani formal protocols, understand political hierarchies, navigate social events where everyone was assessing him. But Lyra was patient, and Nathan discovered he was good at translating his engineering logic to social situations. Systems of behavior, inputs and outputs, cause and effect. You're approaching court politics like debugging a complex system, Lyra observed. Because that's what it is. Complex system with known rules and predictable outcomes if you understand the variables. Nathan smiled. I may not like politics, but I'm good at pattern recognition. 3 weeks into their courtship, a Velrani noble challenged Nathan directly during a formal dinner, questioning whether a human was worthy of their queen's attention, whether someone who'd spent his life fixing machines understood leadership or strategy. Nathan responded calmly. I don't claim to understand military strategy or political maneuvering at your level, but I understand systems, cause and effect, and the importance of fixing problems at their root rather than patching symptoms. I know that Queen Lyra values competence and integrity above status and performance, and I know that I'll work every day to deserve the faith she's placed in me, because that's what you do when someone exceptional chooses you. You become worthy of that choice. The challenge deflated. Several nobles looked impressed. Lyra's expression held approval and something warmer. Later, in private, she told him, that was perfectly handled. You didn't claim qualifications you don't have. You acknowledged your limitations while asserting your genuine value. That's the integrity I'm attracted to. I just told the truth. seems less complicated than lying. Most people find truth far more complicated than lies. You're unusual in preferring honesty. She moved closer. Nathan, I need to tell you something. That sounds ominous. Not ominous, just honest. Lyra took his hand. I'm falling in love with you. Not the idea of you, not the political implications of bonding with you, the actual person you are. Your focus when you're solving problems. Your calm in chaos. Your integrity even when it's inconvenient. Your terrible jokes about engineering that shouldn't be funny but are. You, the actual human Nathan Cole who fixed my ship because it was the right thing to do. Nathan felt something warm and terrifying settle in his chest. That's significant. Very significant. And I need to know if you're feeling anything similar, because if you're not, we should address that now before this goes further. I'm feeling something similar, Nathan admitted. I'm attracted to your intelligence. I appreciate your decisiveness. I respect that you value substance over performance. And he paused, then committed. I'm falling for you too. For the person who values my work, who's patient with my diplomatic mistakes, who laughs at my engineering jokes even when they're terrible. You, the actual Velrani Queen Lyra who proposed marriage because I fixed your ship well. Then we're agreed. We're both invested in this. Lyra smiled. I'm prepared to make this official, declare formal courtship with intent to marry. But I need your consent.